Okay, so what we are looking at here, we have two parallel lines. So line L and line M are parallel. And then we have this other line, line T, that crosses both of the parallel lines. Now this line T that crosses both of the parallel lines is what's known as a transversal line. So a transversal line is a line that cuts across two or more lines. And the two parallel lines, L and M, are both crossed by a transversal line, in this case T. So what we're saying is that this line here, so line T, is what's known as a transversal. Okay, it's a transversal. So that's equal to the line T. Okay, that's that line. And then we have these two lines here. So transversal line, I suppose we should call that. And then we have parallel lines. So, and the parallel lines in this case are going to be lines L and lines M. Now, also as well, what we want to talk about here as well are what are known as interior angles. So interior angles. Now interior, so in means inside. Interior are angles that, like if we have a look at this, they're formed on the inside of a parallel line that has a transversal line going across it. So in this case, where are the interior angles? So we have this angle here, 7, and we have angle 2, and then we have another two pairs of interior angles. So we have angle 3 and angle 6. So these would all be called interior angles. So the angles 2, 7, 3 and 6, they are between the parallel lines, and we call these interior angles, and there are two on each side of a transversal. So if we take, in this case, we have a transversal that goes across two parallel lines. That's why it's called a transversal, because it crosses two parallel lines. You have 4 what are called interior angles. Now, also well, what we can say too, so if we look at these angles, so we'll name them. So we have the angle 2, and we have the angle 7. Okay, both interior angles. And then we have the angle 3 and the angle 6. Okay, both interior angles. Now, if you think about if you add the two interior angles up, okay, how many degrees is that going to add up? And if we think about it, okay, so if we add up, let's say the angle 2 plus the angle 7, both of these are going to add up to, they're going to be equal to 180 degrees. And the same as well, if we add up, let's say angle 3 and angle 6, both of those are going to add up to 180 degrees. So just to recap what we've said, so a transversal is a line that cuts across two or more lines. So in this case, line T is a transversal. It's a transversal because it cuts across two other lines. In this case, line L and line M. The two parallel lines, L and M, are both crossed by a transversal T. Then we have this idea of what are called interior angles. So in this case, the angles 2, 7, 3, and 6 are between two parallel lines. So we have line L and line M. So these interior angles are between these two lines, and we call them interior angles. There are two on each side of the transversal. So we have two. We've two here, and we've two here. And we found that the sum of the two interior angles on the same side of the transversal is 180 degrees. And what we've done is we've added these up. So line 2, the angle of line 2 plus the angle of line 7 is equal to 180. The angle of line 3 plus the angle of line 6 is equal to 180 as well. So that's what we mean by parallel lines, transversal lines, and what are called interior angles.